Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at my third Dorian advisories. Uh, it just moved off of the Bahamas, but they're still feeling tropical storm and hurricane force impacts over in the Bahamas. It's starting to move closer to Florida, and now it's moving only 1 or 2 miles per hour. So it's still a very slow system, but before it was stationary, so this is a big improvement. Also, wind speeds have gone down, now only a category 3 with wind speeds around 120 miles per hour sustained and gusts around 140 miles per hour. And later on in the video, we're just going to be looking at a cool down that'll be affecting almost the northern half of the United States, the north central United States, and then the northeastern United States, and then a big heat wave that'll affect anywhere from the west to parts of the south central United States, and then even parts of the southeast. So let's get right into it. First, we're starting at the National Weather Service. We have hurricane watches, hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings, storm surge warnings. Everything related to Dorian is down in here. We also have some flood advisories and flood warnings and flash flood warnings up near Michigan, and I would think they would extend closer to Wisconsin and into maybe Chicago later on today. That's going to be because of some severe weather that's going to move throughout the area. We're not going to go in depth into that. I'll leave the link to the National Weather Service, and you can check out all the advisories over there, because this video would be too long if I went over that. Here is all the systems that are in the Atlantic right now. So we actually have 4. A lot of people aren't actually talking about these 2 because Dorian is the big focus, but we actually have one system right over here does not look to impact land. This one over here has a 90% chance of development within the next 2 days, and that one looks to develop, but we are uncertain about where that's going to go, whether that goes on a track kind of like this or goes on a track kind of like that, like Dorian did, or if it's going to go off to sea like a lot of them actually do. And then we have Tropical Depression 7, which is going to be moving into parts of coastal Mexico, and it's actually doing that right now, and they have tropical storm force winds. It's not big enough for me to talk about, I don't think, because it's not going to affect many people, and when it does affect them, it's not going to be very destructive or not noteworthy. So here's the satellite imagery. So the eye wall did actually break up. We used to have a pretty well-defined eye wall right here, but it's starting to break up. That shows weakening in the system. But if an eye wall replacement center does happen, then we could see rapid intensification. Hopefully that does not happen. It looks like it's going to make a track somewhere in the northern half of Florida, probably anywhere in here. You should be worried about this system. It could make landfall as a category 2 or 1 hurricane, maybe a category 3. Here's the arrival times. It'll start to make impact this afternoon on Florida, and then move into Georgia around Wednesday at 2 a.m. into 8 a.m. and then South Carolina will be affected anytime between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Wednesday. Thursday, 8 a.m., it's moved out of the Carolinas for the most part, and now it's into Virginia Beach area. Then Thursday, 8 p.m., it's in the Delmarva. Friday, 8 a.m., it's off to sea most likely, but definitely could see some impacts anywhere from coastal New Jersey, actually for most of New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. And then Friday, 8 p.m., more into Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, or it might actually be way out to sea, which is probably the most likely one. And then finally, Saturday, 8 a.m., it's going to be over parts of Nova Scotia and into Canada, basically. And you see how these lines are closer together here, showing that it's moving very slowly, but then it starts to rapidly move forward, and it moves a total of about 200 miles from Friday 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Saturday 8 a.m. So that's a big improvement from the stationary hurricane that we were dealing with in the Bahamas. Here's the cone of uncertainty. So we have a major hurricane right down in this white cone where I circled. That's where when it'll be above a category 3. That's when it's forecasted to be above a category 3. And then when we get anywhere in here, that's where you could be seeing impacts as a category 1 or 2 storm, or maybe even a tropical depression. Here we have hurricane warnings anywhere in the red over parts of the northern Bahamas and the eastern coast of Florida. Tropical storm warnings just around that near Miami, in Jacksonville, and Savannah, Georgia. And then we have tropical storm watches over near Miami into close to West Palm Beach. And then we have hurricane watches over the coast of most of South Carolina and most of Georgia. Now we're gonna look at the wind gusts, or the 10 meter sustained winds. So this is the sustained winds on the surface, and you see those winds are sustained around 50 to even 70 miles per hour, and that's gonna get really close to the shore of South Carolina and North Carolina. That's where you could be seeing wind gusts above 60 miles per hour. Maybe some isolated spots could get wind gusts around 70 or 80 miles per hour with this system. And then you kind of see how it moves off the shore, and we'll still see some impacts on the coast. We'll see impacts most likely on anywhere from South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Delmarva. Anywhere here you could be seeing some pretty bigger waves than you're used to from this system over the next 5 days. Here's the tropical storm force wind speed probability. So anywhere in that purple, that's almost definite that you're going to see tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. Anywhere, if you're shaded by a color, you should be taking notice and taking precautions. And if you're in the reds, you're 70 to 90%. If you're in the yellows or oranges, you're 30 to 70%, and if you're in the green, you're 50 to 30%. The key is right down here. So if you want to check out what color your area is, just look down here. For parts of Florida, we're actually over the 70% mark, and that's where I most likely that's where I find the most likely area of impact. So those areas could see dangerous storm surge, definitely some rip currents, a lot of rip currents actually, and high rip current risk, and you're probably going to see winds 30 to 60 miles per hour sustained, some wind gusts around 80 to 90 miles per hour, and then you're also going to be seeing torrential rainfall. Here is the hurricane wind speed probability, and we have that 30% chance just clipping Florida, and then more likely into South Carolina, where you have around a 30 to 40, maybe even some spots a 50% chance of those hurricane force winds. Here's the rainfall over the next 5 days. So 5 days, and you see how really for anywhere in this red you're seeing over 3 inches, 3 to 5 inches. But if you're in that brown or white, that's around 5 to 7.5 inches. So you do see for the coastal Carolinas, you're seeing around 7.5 inches over the next 5 days. So that's definitely going to lead to some flash flooding. So yeah, make sure you turn around, don't drown, because you don't know how deep that water is that you're driving into is. That's how a lot of people actually get killed, because they think the water is not that deep, but then they actually go in it and it's like 6 feet deep. And then also we have this over here for the Great Lakes and the Midwest. We're seeing some severe weather. And that's going to lead to 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. Some isolated spots could see more. Here's the excessive rainfall outlook. So here's the chance of flash flooding. You have a slight chance anywhere in that yellow and a green, and in the green you have a marginal chance. That's for today. Tomorrow you see a moderate chance, 20 to 50% chance of flash flooding over the Carolinas and into Georgia. 10 to 20% in that yellow, and 5 to 10% in that green. And then in the moderate moves north, but still over some of the same areas, over North Carolina and South Carolina. That's where you could be seeing 20 to 50% chance of flash flooding. Here's the rainfall outlook by NOAA. They usually like to underestimate this, but I am actually agreeing with this a lot with this system. I don't think you'll see much more than 12 inches, probably for parts of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. But for most of these areas, they're saying 4 to 10 inches of rain. Definitely something to watch out. This could go up or down depending on the track. Hopefully this track does go out to sea a little bit. Some models are bringing it out to sea so it won't affect a lot of areas. I hope that does happen, but it's not looking that likely right now. Here is what Dorian looks like on how its rainfall looks like, and you see how it's just very heavy rainfall, and it's over the same areas, and it's flooding the same areas for quite a long time, and then it kind of moves out into Canada. And one thing I also want to touch on here is now I'm going to focus your attention to the Great Lakes, where that severe weather is happening, Tuesday, today into tomorrow. Now I just want to time out Dorian for you right now. This is today. This is where Dorian is today. This is tomorrow. This is Thursday. Friday, this is Friday, and then this would be Saturday into Sunday, right over there. So just that's where Dorian should be at those times. That's for the European model, which actually has been quite consistent, and I'm kind of agreeing with this model. It kind of takes it off the shore of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, and then moves it north and out to sea. Finally, I just want to talk about the temperatures because we are going to be seeing a big cool down. You could actually see your first frosts in extreme northern Minnesota and North Dakota, probably potentially by this weekend. Temperatures getting down into the 40s and even some high 30s for parts of the Midwest. Now, I also want to touch on the heat wave that's happening over the southern U.S. Temperatures near 100 degrees. Some readings are 100 degrees for parts of the southeast, and then also for the southwest. Typical heat, 105 degrees. Now for Thursday night, you're seeing these really cool temperatures. It's in the 50s and 40s for parts of the northeast. And coastal areas are closer to 60 degrees, but most areas are in the 50-degree area, and that could definitely be cold. You start to see your breath around 45 degrees. That's when you start to see your breath, just to give you some context. And then as we go into Saturday, we have that cold, but it's pushing north a little bit. And then by Sunday, we have a little bit more cold, some upper 30s in parts of northern Maine. And here's the temperature anomaly. So this is compared to your average, how cold it is. And this is today, tomorrow, and then Thursday. And then Friday, we see temperatures for parts of New Jersey up to 15 degrees in parts of central and southern New Jersey, 15 degrees below average. And then also for Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, Delaware, we're all above 10 degrees below average. That was the final thing I just wanted to touch on over here. I just want to show how intense this cold is gonna get. It's gonna get into the 40s for most areas, who should have a low around 60 degrees. So very, very cold for this time of year. And if that was me, Eli the Weather Guy. If you did enjoy, please consider subscribing and leaving a like on this video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.